Okay, so if we look at the first example, if we FOILed it out, wouldn't we get this right here? A times A, 2A, B2, B2. All of this is FOILed out. Do we understand? Now, I'll tell you, I find it easier when you're doing these, write this out every single time on your problems. It makes it way easier, okay? So we have substitution. It's telling us A is X and B is 4. Are we tracking? So now we're going to plug it in. By the way, this is the descriptor, okay? So we don't do anything math-wise here, okay? So we're going to take this X and this 4, and we're going to plug it in here, okay? And then from here, we're going to plug it in here. So my A becomes X every single place. Right here, my B becomes 4. 4 and 4. This 2 is set in the formula. It doesn't change. There's always a 2. Are we clear? Okay, so after we substitute, we're going to write the problem out, and then we're going to solve it. So x2, 2x. By the way, we multiply these. 2x and then times 4, 8x. 4 to the power of 2, 16. We're done. Okay? One more time. This is our formula. Okay? We take in A, what it's telling us, X, and B is 4, and we plug it in. Okay? And then solve. The actual math itself is not hard, obviously. Foiling is a little bit more difficult. Any questions on this one right here?
Why B is 4?
Why is B 4?
No, why B is 4?
Okay, so this is B2, right? This is 4. 4 times 2 is 16. It's telling us right here B is 4 and A is X. So we take this information and we plug it in here. Make sense? Okay, good question. Okay, this one, exactly the same thing. We just have more going on, right? So we're taking this information right here from the 3x and the b being equals to 2y, write the formula out and plug it in, okay? So our a is 3x and our b is 2y. This 2 stays here, the 2 here stays here, okay? So really there's no math in here. This is the descriptor of the problem, okay? Following this actually ends up foiling it out, so it stops all those steps. Make sense? Okay, from here, we're going to go ahead and plug this stuff in. So a is 3x, so it's going to be 3x to the second power. Make sure when you insert these in, put them in parentheses. Okay? So now we're 2. A is 3x, b is 2y, b is 2y again. Okay? How you solve in the middle, just multiply across. Okay? So 2 times 3 is 6, times 2 is 12. Put the xy there. Now if there by some reason there were two x's, that would make it x2, right? So taking care of this in the middle and then solving this, 2 to the power of 2, 4y2. Solve this one, that's 3 times 3, so we're doing the power, 9x2, and we already took care of the 12xy. Is there any questions? Not hard, right? Okay, see, just another example. Same with d, I throw in a negative here. So a is 4, b is s. So I'm going to replace my a and b within the formulas and then solve. So a being 4, 4 times 2, 16. By the way, when it's numbers and you solve it, no power. If there's an exponent and you solve it, it's whatever the solved exponent is. So this is s to the power of 2, so 2 times 2, 4. Then we're multiplying these across. 2 times 4 is 8, and then s, 2. Any questions so far? Do we think it's easier or harder? Easier. Yeah, because the FOIL step's not there anymore. Okay, this one right here. Same thing. A, negative m, b is 3. So we put this in here. There's going to be no math involved here. It's just going to be negative m2 because there's nothing to multiply. We're multiplying all these across. So 2 times 3 is 6, times m, negative 6m. And then 3 to the power of 2, 3 times 3 is 9. This one's done as well. Okay? Next one. This is AB4 is what our form is, okay? Where this one was a plus b 2 form, okay? And basically, in following this, we had the same exact steps. The only difference is there's a minus 2a. Do we see that? That's the only difference between these. Now, it will tell you, it'll say find the products of a minus b4 or a plus b4. The only thing you have to remember is that the plus is there, then it's plus 2a, and if it's minus, then it's minus 2a. Are we clear? The 2 is always in the formula. So looking at the formula, it's exactly the same thing. Our a is x and our b is 5, so we're going to go enter this in here. So a, x2, the negative 2 is not going to change. Our a is x, our b is 5, and then 5, 2. Multiply everything in the middle, so negative 2 times x, negative 2x times 5, negative 10x, 5 to the power of 2, 25. Any questions? Okay, next three examples are exactly the same. They're just subtraction. So the minus 2a and putting in. I like this one because this throws in a variable, so it kind of mixes it up a little bit. So a is going to be our 6a, and our b is 1. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and solve this. By the way, inside parentheses exponents, that's 6 times 6. So 36a2. Do not get rid of the 2. Okay? Because we don't know what happens with that variable. So when it comes down to the variable and the power, we carry it down. If there's a number there, we do it to its power. That's simplified. Are we clear? Okay, next one. Negative 2 times 6, negative 12a. The 1's not going to matter, or 1 to the power of 1 is 1. We're done with this one. Just remember, really, it's just multiplying across. Okay? The only thing that's tricky in here is if there ends up being negative, then it could possibly turn it positive, but that doesn't happen too often. Okay, looking at G, same thing. We're 4C in our A and B 3D. So we plug the information in. We want to solve for this. Remember, we're solving from the number, leaving the exponent until we're all done. Okay, but this C we can't do anything with it, so we still leave it there, but we solve the number. Okay, because it's in parentheses. So 4 times 4 is 16. Then we're going to multiply across. Negative 2 times negative 2 times 4, and then times 3. 24. We don't have any dual exponents, so they're singular. CD. Then we're going to multiply this, putting the 3D in parentheses, solving that 3 to the power of 2, 9, and then D2. I think the only thing that's tough with this one is just remembering that the exponents come down, because we can't get rid of that power because we have no idea what the variable is. So solving the number, still carry the power down. Okay so far? Is there any I should go over? Okay, first one, plus 2a. Second one, minus 2a. Right? That's what we've covered so far. Okay, next one. So this one, finding products of a minus b, and this one's a plus b. Now, this one becomes a plus b, a minus b. Okay? But let me cover this one first, because this one actually goes with this one. 3 minus x2. And then to the power of 2, this is where the negative comes in the middle. We're still negative 2. So we're going to plug in our a for 3 and our b for x2. So we're going to solve here. 3 times 3, 9. Power goes away because there's no exponent. Then across, negative 2 times 3, negative 6, x2. Put those together. This one, 2 and 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Just remember on this one, if you had... Let's say we had an x1 inside here, if it actually gave that us as the variable, then we're multiplying the total of that one times whatever's on the outside. Okay? Because the parentheses establish that. Any questions on this one? Pretty straightforward, right? Especially when you write the formula out. If you write the formula out, you know what your A is, you know what your B is, you're inserting it in parentheses and then go ahead and solving it. And then just remember, you're multiplying the 3 in the middle across. Okay, the A plus B, A minus B. This is what our formula is. We write it out this way, A squared minus B squared. This is just the descriptor of the problem. So A is x and B is 6. We entered this in here, and then we write our A and x to the power of 2. Now these ones are easier, right? Because there's just way less math going on. So x to the power of 2, there's nothing we need to do with this. 6 times 6 is 36. We're done with this one. These ones are pretty quick because there's two exponents and whether it's plus or minus at the end of the day.
But it's x plus 6 or x plus b?
This is minus 6.
No, never.
B equals 6. The B doesn't go in the formula. We're replacing the B with 6. Oh, I see what you're saying. This should have been 6. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. Good catch. And that part is the descriptor of the problem. We don't do anything with that. At the end of the day, what we're trying to solve for is this right here. Okay, this one right here, there's an exponent, and then there's a constant in a variable. Same exact thing. We're plugging in the x2 to the power of 2, and then the 2y inside parentheses. This set is minus, because it's minus 2b. And then from here, we want to write it out and solve it. So x, 2 and 2, so 2 times 2 is 4. And then this one, solve for the exponent, 2 to the power of 2, 4. Just remember, if this is in parentheses negative, that's a negative times a negative within the exponents. Okay? But if it's negative on the outside, it's not going to matter unless that's negative on the inside. Right? Then it'll become negative times a negative. Now the exponent, there's nothing to do there except bring it down because we don't have anything to multiply. Because remember, we have a value of 1 here, right? So that's 1 times 2, y being 2. Any questions on this one? Okay, last example, a is 7, b is n. These ones are pretty straightforward. Put the 7 inside parentheses, put the n inside parentheses. 7 times 7, solving the number 49, and then the variable. Most of the time, you're going to have a variable with your a, or your b is going to be a constant or variable. So a lot of times you're just solving one part of the problem. Very rarely are they going to give you two numbers. If they do give you two numbers, that means you can solve it out, right? Because you would have a number here, and you would have a number here, and you'd be subtracting and getting them to a total. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So you want to do the do now, okay? The do now, pretty easy one today. This one's a FOIL one, right? You're going to multiply all three, not technically not FOIL, it's distributed property. So this times this times this, and this times this. And then this one, does anyone see what's happening here? Put your numbers together, 1/3 times 12, and then A5, A1, and then finish it. This one, same thing. By the way, how do you know? How do you know when you're no operations, right? No plus or minus. If you have just straight terms, then you know that you're multiplying the terms, you're grouping them. Group your numbers, group your variables. Okay? Hazel, basically all that's happening here, this is -5 and 4 in parentheses, and then m and m2 in parentheses, which is m3. You're just adding it together. And then n3 and n2 is n5. And then you write it all out. Okay, good talk. Okay, next one's a FOIL example on a trinomial. What is this one right here?
Same thing.
Simplify one, right? So you're doing now super easy. What I want you to work on, obviously you should have the notes done at this point, and then I want you to work on your worksheet. But flip over your worksheet for a second. I don't want you to do 19 or 20. I'm not concerned about those two. Okay? Yes. Okay.